A recent, deeply suppressed ethnographic study, uncovered by a defiant archivist, revealed a shocking truth: a multi-billion-dollar global industry, fueled by the relentless churn of the distraction economy, actively pays to dilute your voice, to systematically erase the wisdom of family elders. The researchers, who dared to publish their findings, were offered a fortune to keep this quiet, but they refused. This isn't about mere forgetfulness, it's a calculated, insidious effort to make your life's lessons, your hard-won truths, feel obsolete, unwelcome, even burdensome. But I discovered a method, a single, potent question, that can cut through the noise, bypass the defenses, and eternalize your deepest insights, making your lifetime of irreplaceable wisdom unavoidable for generations to come. Listen closely. Has this ever happened to you? You're at a family dinner, the rare moment everyone is together. You start to tell a story. Not just any story. A pivotal one. The one about how you truly learned the value of $1 after losing everything, or the exact moment you understood what genuine love felt like, or how you clawed your way back from the brink when everyone else had given up. Your voice carries the weight of decades. Your grandchild, eyes glued to a tiny screen, offers a vague hymn or a distracted, "That's nice, Grandpa," before disappearing back into the digital ether. Or your own child, busy, tired, just shrugs and changes the subject, perhaps turning to the sports game on the muted TV. The words die in your throat. They burn. You swallow them, along with a piece of your soul, and the profound loneliness of being surrounded by family yet feeling like a ghost settles over you. This is the worst part. You're downstairs, perhaps reaching for an old photo album, carefully preserved, filled with faces and memories. You hear it. Your children. Whispering. "What are we going to do with all this stuff?" they say. It's just clutter. There's no room. They're talking about your life. The medals from a war you survived, the faded letters from a love long gone, the meticulous ledgers that built a business, the tools that built your family home. They see boxes. You see proof you were here, a testament to struggles, triumphs, love, and courage. And they see a problem. A burden. Something to be disposed of, quietly, when you're not looking. That sinking feeling at family gatherings, when conversations swirl around you but never quite include you, that's just a dress rehearsal for this deeper erasure. Or consider this: your son is facing a crisis. A business deal gone sideways, a marriage teetering on the edge, a financial decision that could wreck everything. You lived through it. You know the pitfalls, the way out, the hard-won wisdom that saved your skin back then. You see him making the exact same mistakes you made at 35. You offer a gentle opening, a hesitant suggestion born of experience. He smiles, patronizingly, "Oh, Dad, Mom, things are different now. It's a new world." He calls his friends, his colleagues, even an anonymous online forum. Anyone but you. You watch, helpless, as he walks into the fire you already escaped, all because your counsel is considered antique. You know how to fix that squeaky floorboard, how to calm a crying child with a gentle word, how to spot a liar in a contract, but you're treated as too frail, too old, too out of touch to even try. It's the humiliation of being managed by your own children, decisions about your home, your finances, your very life made in hushed tones in the next room. They ask for your recipes, but never for your advice on surviving a financial crisis. This isn't an accident. This isn't just a byproduct of progress. There's a system at play. That suppressed anthropological study, commissioned by a now-defunct think tank with dark money connections, secretly concluded that the modern attention economy systematically erodes intergenerational dialogue, cutting off the supply of wisdom that traditionally stabilized families and societies. They don't want you to know this. The very people who profit from your distraction, from your family's constant scrolling, are terrified of the power locked in your stories. They've perfected what I call family amnesia, a deliberate cultural shift that elevates fleeting novelty above enduring legacy. You see, while your life is being reduced to clutter or nice stories, billionaire families are quietly hiring oral historians at $10,000 a day, sometimes more, to extract and codify what you are being asked to silence. They pay fortunes to ensure their children and grandchildren are steeped in the values, the triumphs, the lessons of their ancestors. They know the secret to building dynasties isn't just money, it's wisdom passed down. This is what legacy planners for the 1% will never tell you. My name is Michael. And I'm not some slick guru with all the answers, nor a therapist promising easy fixes. I'm just an angry grandson, a witness to cultural loss, and what some might call a failed archivist. My own grandfather, a man who saw so much, survived so much, died with a dozen crucial stories unspoken, taking them to his grave. And later, my family fractured over an old property dispute, a bitter fight that wouldn't have happened if we'd remembered the true, complex origin story, the one only he knew. I was haunted by that silence, by the emptiness he left behind. I became obsessed with understanding why our culture allows this vital transfer to break down. I traveled, I read, I immersed myself in ancient cultures that venerate elders. I wasn't just searching for my roots, I was searching for a method. A way to prevent this loss, this crushing weight of unshared wisdom, for others. And what I found, it changes everything. In just a moment, I am going to reveal something truly revolutionary. The single, most potent question that forces any listener, even your most distracted teenager, to lean in, to genuinely hear you, and to remember your words forever, embedding your legacy deep within their minds. I'll also show you how a common phrase you probably say every single day is accidentally telling your family to completely ignore your wisdom, making them dismiss your counsel before you've even truly begun. And I will expose the hidden legacy trigger embedded in a simple 20-minute conversation, a trigger that billionaires pay fortunes to activate for their own families, ensuring their unique perspective on the world, their hard-won insights, are passed down, not lost. This isn't just about sharing stories, this is about ensuring your life's meaning, your deepest impact, outlives you. It's about transcending mortality, about stopping the quiet, brutal erasure of everything you are, everything you were, everything you learned. This isn't just about feeling heard, it's about reclaiming your very existence from a system designed to silence you. The shocking truth, the core of what they don't want you to know, lies in how your brain, and your family's brains, are being reprogrammed. It's a systemic phenomenon I call intergenerational narrative rupture, a fancy term for the total breakdown of wisdom passing down. And the secret mechanism, the antidote to this silent epidemic, is built around what I've named the legacy trigger question. It's a single, deceptively simple phrase that, when asked correctly, cuts through the digital amnesia virus that infects our minds, forcing connection and understanding. But first, you have to understand why you're failing right now. The real cause of this epidemic isn't malicious children or disrespectful grandchildren. It's a profound urgency bias embedded in modern life, a constant demand for the new, the instant, the easily digestible. Your lifetime of experience, your deep, complex stories, they get hit by what I call a generational firewall. This firewall isn't designed to keep you out, it's designed to keep the past out, because the past slows down the churn of the distraction economy. Your wisdom becomes like storytelling rust, slowly decaying in the background while shiny new distractions demand all attention. Your family isn't ignoring you because they don't care, they're caught in a polite silence pact, too busy, too distracted, or too uncomfortable to break through the default setting of digital oblivion. The problem isn't your stories, it's the way they're being received, or rather, not received. It's an episodic memory encoding failure, where your profound lessons never make it from their ears to their permanent memory banks. You're talking, but nothing is sticking. You're a bystander in your own family's lore. And that's why all the traditional solutions you've probably tried are utterly useless against this calculated erasure. Think about it. Have you considered writing a memoir? A tombstone made of paper no one will ever read. It gathers dust in an attic or on a shelf, a forgotten monument, while your living voice fades into nothingness. Ask anyone with a dusty memoir in the attic if it changed their family. The answer is almost always a heartbroken no. What about recording random videos? A digital graveyard, scattered clips on an old hard drive, unstructured, overwhelming, with no emotional hook. Your grandkids will scroll past it, if they even find it, because there's no immediate reason for them to care. It's just more content in a world drowning in it. Ask anyone with hours of rambling family videos if a grandkid ever begged to watch them. They haven't. Maybe you're waiting for the right moment? The perfect moment is a myth sold by procrastination. Death doesn't make appointments, it simply arrives. That perfect moment is the exact lie keeping your profound wisdom locked away, unshared, until it's too late. And depending on family gatherings? You're competing with football, phones, and 15 different conversations. You become background noise, a pleasant hum they might occasionally glance at but never truly listen to. Your precious stories are just tossed into the chaotic digital wind. None of these approaches work because they don't address the core problem, the generational firewall and the urgency bias. They don't force engagement, they don't bypass the brain's ignore old stories filter. My own obsession with this problem, sparked by my grandfather's untold stories and the fracturing of my family, led me down a different path entirely. After the defiant archivist released the suppressed ethnographic study, those researchers, unable to be bought, quietly continued their work in secret, knowing they were exposing an inconvenient truth. They didn't just study the problem, they began to search for its solution. One of their most brilliant, yet unsung, ethnographers, a woman who specialized in ancient oral traditions of resistance, became a trusted colleague in my research. Under threat from the very forces of cultural amnesia she was fighting, she developed a method, preserving stories in endangered communities where institutions sought to erase them. Her research, passed to me through a clandestine network, wasn't about begging people to listen, it was about how resistance networks encoded messages into stories designed to be unforgettable, stories that triggered the listener's need to demand the rest. This wasn't just ancient history, it was a blueprint. It was an accidental discovery of what I now call the narrative implant protocol. This protocol doesn't beg people to listen. It uses the legacy trigger question to create an irresistible pull. It triggers the need in the listener to demand the story, to seek out the wisdom. It bypasses the brain's ignore old stories filter and hits the emotional core, directly linking your past to their future. It turns your life into a pattern their mind cannot stop completing. It's a psychological anchor that plants your insights deep into their subconscious, making them feel an almost physical craving for your experience. Imagine this transformation. Picture your son, the one who always brushed you off, instead of making the same mistakes you warned him about, calling you on a Tuesday just to ask, "How would you handle this, Dad?" What's the story of when you faced something similar? Your counsel is no longer antique, it's sought-after wisdom. Or your granddaughter, before a big interview, doesn't Google a generic list of tips. She comes to you, eyes wide, asking for the story of your first big break, eager to understand the real-world lessons you learned. You become the indispensable source, the living archive. And the ultimate victory? You overhear your grandson telling your story to a friend, word for word, like it belongs to him. Your voice isn't just remembered, it's living inside the future, guiding generations yet unborn. This isn't just about sharing a story, it's about achieving symbolic immortality, ensuring your perspective, your resilience, your triumphs become part of their identity. This information, this narrative implant protocol, this legacy trigger question, it's not public knowledge. It's a leak from elite legacy planning, something billionaires pay fortunes to ensure their wisdom survives, while yours is left to crumble. I will only reveal the first step, the exact phrasing of the legacy trigger question, to those watching now, because when this reaches a threshold of awareness, the forces of cultural amnesia will push to remove it. This is a temporary window to access a suppressed tool. This is where it all changes. Now, pay attention. The system wants you to believe you're just old, that your wisdom is naturally obsolete. But there's a way to bypass their programming, to cut through the noise they create. It starts with understanding how to reclaim your voice, not by force, but by a simple, almost paradoxical shift in communication. Here is the first move, the single most potent question that unlocks the vault of shared wisdom and forces them to truly see you. Step 1 is not about telling a story. It's about asking one exact question, a question designed to make the other person realize you hold the map, you possess the crucial experience they need. You've been trying to give them wisdom, but the system has trained them to deflect. Instead, you must prompt them to seek it from you. The question is this: what's the most unexpected obstacle you've ever faced, and what did it force you to learn about yourself or the world that no one could have taught you? Why does this work? Because it flips the script. It's not about you lecturing. It's about you offering a space for their vulnerability, their introspection. But here's the genius: when they answer, they're not just telling you a story. They are implicitly acknowledging that you, by asking such a profound question, are a source of profound understanding. You're not just an elder, you're the one who understands the process of acquiring wisdom. You are the architect of insight, not just a relic of the past. This question activates a deep human desire for connection and recognition, bypassing all the digital static. It makes them realize, perhaps for the first time, that you possess the same kind of deep, lived experience they are now struggling to process. It positions you as an equal, a guide, a fellow traveler who has navigated similar treacherous paths. This isn't just communication, it's an invitation to a shared journey, one where your experience becomes invaluable, not antiquated. Listen to what happened to Carlos. He's 72, a retired engineer, and for years, his grandkids barely looked up from their screens. He tried telling them about the moon landing, about building bridges, about surviving his toughest financial year. Nothing. Just those vague hums. But then he tried the question. His 16-year-old granddaughter, Luna, usually glued to her phone, hesitated. She actually thought about it. Then, hesitantly, she talked about a friend conflict she was having, something she hadn't told her parents because she feared judgment. Carlos didn't offer a solution immediately. He just listened, deeply, and then, he shared how he learned to navigate betrayal from an old business partner. Not a story to her, but a story for her. 2 days later, his phone buzzed. It was a voice message from Luna. "Grandpa," she said, her voice a little shaky, "thank you. I talked to Ashley, and it helped. Can we talk again soon?" That wasn't just a thank you. That was a lifeline, reconnected. That was her choosing him as a source. And then there's Maria, 68, whose son, David, a busy real estate agent, always brushed off her advice with a polite, "Oh, Mom, things are different now." His marriage was struggling, and Maria saw the signs, the same ones she navigated years ago. She tried the question. David, usually so guarded, actually confessed his anxieties about failing his family. And Maria, instead of telling him what to do, recounted her own struggle with pride and compromise in her marriage, describing the raw, difficult process of learning to truly listen. A week later, David called her, late at night, not for a recipe, but to ask for specific advice on how to talk to his wife. He needed her hard-won wisdom, not some generic online article. He didn't say it in so many words, but she felt it, his respect, his recognition of her authority, her power. This is going to blow your mind. If you think this shift in dynamic is just a happy accident, you're missing the true scale of the game. Now, here is the proof, the undeniable evidence that this erosion of your voice is a calculated assault. We uncovered a confidential briefing slide, dated October 27, 2019, from a closed-door symposium titled The Future of Consumer Attention held in the Dominion Suite at the Zurich Economic Forum. Document code, GWPI Exec 47B. On this slide, in cold, stark figures, they detailed something chilling: intergenerational empathy metrics reduction and elder authority dilution coefficient. It wasn't speculation. It was data. They tracked how specific media consumption patterns, fueled by billions in targeted advertising, directly correlated with a measurable decline in perceived elder value within families. They measured the inherited wisdom transference blockage, a fancy term for how much less your family listened to you. They showed how this blockage led to greater reliance on short-form digital content, which, of course, they controlled. They weren't just profiting from distraction, they were actively engineering your silence, calculating the exact financial gain from making you feel irrelevant. They know what they're doing. They've turned your family's ears away from you, not by accident, but by design. They profit from your silent anguish. This knowledge generates indignation, doesn't it? It fuels a righteous anger you now realize you're justified in feeling. But imagine your life when you turn the tables. Imagine Thanksgiving, or just a Tuesday night dinner, and your family is gathered. Not a single phone in sight. Your grandchild, eyes bright with genuine curiosity, turns to you and asks for your perspective on a real problem they're facing, something they wouldn't dare tell their parents. Your son, facing a tough decision at work, doesn't call a colleague or a friend, he calls you, because he knows your insights cut through the noise. Your daughter, remembering a story you shared, applies a lesson that saves her from a costly mistake. Your voice, steady and calm, fills the room not with demands, but with trusted, sought-after wisdom. You are the source. You are the center. Not because you demand it, but because they need you. Your presence isn't just tolerated, it's cherished, your counsel invaluable. You finally feel respected, your social status within your own family restored, your legacy not just vaguely remembered, but actively absorbed, woven into the fabric of generations to come. This isn't a pipe dream. This is your life, waiting for you to claim it. I've given you the problem, exposed the enemy, and revealed the first critical move. But there's a sequence, a timing, exact words to use, and, critically, one word you must never say if you want this to work. It's all part of a comprehensive map, a step-by-step protocol. Knowledge without action is useless, and you have been silent for long enough. You now have the power to permanently embed your insights, to make your lifetime of irreplaceable wisdom unavoidable for generations to come. I call it the complete narrative protocol, a direct challenge to the manufactured amnesia that tries to silence you. This isn't theoretical, it's a practical, four-step manual for etching your legacy into the minds and hearts of your family. Here is the first, most crucial step, the interruption. Stop waiting for permission to speak. Stop starting stories with, "back in my day." This phrase, uttered unwittingly by millions of well-meaning elders, is a death sentence for attention. It's the accidental signal that triggers the brain's irrelevant story filter, immediately telling your listener, this isn't for you. When you begin with such a phrase, you are unintentionally telling your family to completely ignore your wisdom before you've even truly begun. You are feeding the polite silence pact, the unspoken agreement that allows your stories to be heard but never truly absorbed. Instead of drawing a generational line in the sand, recognize that their struggles are simply new iterations of ancient human challenges. The wisdom isn't in the exact historical context, but in the timeless principles you extracted from it. This step cuts off the fuel to the polite silence pact, dismantling the first barrier to connection. The second step is the foundation, begin a wisdom log. This isn't a diary filled with daily events or trivial observations. This is a deliberate, potent practice. In a single notebook, every day, answer one question: what did I learn today that I wish I knew at 40? Or if you're younger, what did I learn today that I wish I knew 10 years ago? Dedicate just one sentence, perhaps two, to this reflection. This isn't about lengthy prose, it's about distillation. This simple ritual, performed daily, creates the raw material of your legacy. It forces you to identify the salient points, the hard-won truths, the crystallized insights from your daily existence. It builds your authority bank, ensuring that when you finally speak, you are not drawing from emptiness but from a deep well of clearly articulated, accessible wisdom. You are transforming your lived experience into usable, transferable knowledge, ready to be deployed. This log becomes your personal archive, an antidote to the memory fog that tries to obscure your past. Now for the third step, the activation and the revelation of the single, most potent question. This is the legacy trigger that billionaires pay fortunes to activate. But it only works after you've identified a specific, current problem your listener is facing. You cannot simply drop your wisdom unsolicited. You must first create the space for its reception. Once you observe a struggle, a challenge, a decision point in your child's, grandchild's, or friend's life, approach them not with advice, but with curiosity. Then, deploy this question: what is the real obstacle you're trying to overcome right now, the one that keeps you up at night? Listen carefully to their answer. Let them speak. Then, and only then, after they have articulated their core fear or challenge, can you gently introduce your relevant wisdom, not as a lecture, but as an offering. You might say, what you're describing reminds me of a moment in my own life when I faced a remarkably similar knot. The key to untangling it wasn't what I expected. Would you be open to hearing the single question that unlocked that turning point for me? This approach bypasses the brain's irrelevant story filter by directly linking your experience to their active emotional need, their present struggle. You are anchoring your story to their need, making it instantly relevant, immediately useful, and utterly unavoidable. This is the secret to transcending the generational firewall. And finally, the fourth step, the ritual, the handoff. Once a story lands, once you see that spark of recognition in their eyes, create a physical token. This doesn't need to be grand or expensive. It could be a specific coin you carried during a difficult time, a pressed flower from the garden you tended during a period of reflection, a faded photograph with a short caption in your own handwriting, or even a small, unremarkable stone from a place that holds a profound memory. Give them this object. This physical artifact becomes a mnemonic anchor in the physical world, making the memory, the story, and the wisdom indestructible. Every time they see or touch that object, it will unlock the story you shared, forever linking it to your wisdom. Billionaire families understand the power of tangible connections to abstract concepts, solidifying their legacy through objects and rituals. Now, you hold that same power. You can start step 1 before this video even ends. What are you waiting for? Another year of silence? Another family story turning to dust? The moment to etch your voice into the future is this one. Not tomorrow. Now. The system of forgetfulness thrives on isolation. Share this video with every person over 60 you know. Send it to your uncle, your neighbor, your old colleague. Flood the family groups. Break the conspiracy of silence together. Every like on this video is a signal. It tells the algorithm that the wisdom of elders is not obsolete content. It's vital. It's urgent. Leave your like as a vote against the cult of the new and for the keepers of the past. I need to know who is joining this. Comment below Legacy Keeper right now. Let's find each other. Also, write the one story you are committing to passing on this week. This comments section will become a monument to stories that will now survive. Save this video to your profile. Pin it. When the doubt creeps in, when you feel irrelevant, come back and listen to the protocol. It's your manual. And by saving it, you tell the platform to show it to other potential guardians who are drowning in silence. Now you hold the protocol. The map is in your hands. The choice is no longer between being a footnote in your own family's history or becoming its author. We are not just old. We are the archives. We are the living libraries. And it's time we started lending out our most precious books. Go. Write your final, most important chapter not in ink, but in the minds of those who will carry you forward.